Uncensored. We have an all-star returning guest with us today, guys. She is just a woman that, if you don't know her, you have been living under a rock the size of the United States. She is an incredibly powerful woman. She's a coach, she's a trainer, she's a speaker, she's an author. List goes on and on. But first, that is Miss Bernice Ross. We're going to bring her in really quickly, but I got to bring my boy and the evil bald ninja, the Vulpinator, the Gene, the baldest of the bald. What up, buddy? Good happy Friday to you.
Thank you, sir. And to you. And I want to tell you something. I got on this podcast last minute and I said, boy, Matt Johnson looks fantastic today. And I went, oh my God, that's Bernice Ross. Welcome to the show, Bernice.
Thank you.
She is way better looking than Johnson. Way better looking. And
no question about it.
I was talking to a friend of ours, Jean, and I'm not going to say her name, but her letter or her first name starts with a V and her last one is a J. And there's this very special surprise gift we're going to give Matt one of these days.
It's coming up next week, I think, right? Next week it's going to be. And I don't want to give it away either, but it rhymes with harmonica owns. Right?
Bernice, we will tell you all about this off air. Our friend did a wonderful prank, and it is going to make us smile forever and ever. But
right, we could probably we should do a test. We could probably get away with showing it right here and talking about it and see if he calls us. He's not watching this.
Okay, great. Okay, give an image up and then we'll do this.
Okay, well, I have it. I have the real thing.
Oh my God, get it. Bernice, you're going to get a kick out of this.
So,
I'm going to wear this next week.
We're going to be talking about how to relieve stress. This is exactly how to do it. You're going to get a live demo. Okay. Here you go.
So I'm going to wear this next week, but we're not going to say anything when I wear it. We're going to see if he picks it up.
I'm getting one too, by the way.
Oh my God. I love it.
Oh my God, that is going to be amazing. And yeah, that is truly one of my favorite things. But we've talked enough. We got to bring Bernice in. Bernice, how are you, my friend? What's new?
Good, great, thank you.
Bernice and I write an article for Inman News. Well, let me clarify. She writes the article, and then we do a video for Inman, and we are consistently in the top 5. She is in charge of leading thousands of real estate agents, and we're talking about like stress and stress management and how to deal with it. And so Bernice, kind of help us walk through a little bit. Today's a little bit of a crazy world. How are you watching people deal with stress, and kind of what are you seeing out there in the world? Because you work with a lot of high powerful people.
Well, first of all, one of the interesting things right now, things are, we are, the country is so divided with the election coming up next, within less than 14 days. We've got this polarization. And what happens to us is, I think we get in an echo chamber and we listen to people who are in the same place we are. So that takes me to the first tip. Who are you surrounding yourself with? If you're surrounding yourself with people who are just angry and screaming and all those kinds of things, well, what happens to your brain? This comes from Daniel Amen's research, Making a Good Brain Great. Mm. And what he found, he called, one of the things that is a problem for us is we get what he calls automatic negative thoughts. And if I were doing this on a PowerPoint, I'd show, it's like I show you someone who's real upset, but automatic negative thoughts are thoughts that keep going around and around and around. So for example, say that that you made a mistake and you just keep going and you just keep repeating, oh, I could have done this and I wish I hadn't said that. And you've got this automatic negative thought going around in your brain. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first thing he says is you need to get rid of ants. Those are automatic negative thoughts. And then if I had my PowerPoint, I would have a great big old ant eater up there. So what do you need? You need an ant eater. But the way you get rid of them, your ant eater, is to write them down. So you get them out of your head and on a piece of paper. And then the next step is, once you have got that down, write down all the different, and this is for any kind of problem you're having, write down all the different things that you could do to handle this issue. And, say that you're, when we were teenagers, and I don't know if they still did this, but it's like somebody get mad, they stick a banana in the tailpipe of their car or something. No matter how stupid it is, write down what you like to do, boil them in oil, whatever you're thinking about. then go through all the options that you've chosen and then choose the one that is the best option and implement that, rather than having that thought repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Now, I want to go back to one other thing from Eamon's book. And I started down this path. So we've got a lot of people really angry right now. There's a lot of, just a lot of this back and forth. And the thing I know, and this is what disturbs me, if you've got someone who is so angry at one side or the other, and I don't care what your political persuasion is, but if you're normally a happy, kind of easygoing person, and the research, Eamon's research, he did all these brain scans, and what he found, so, great, you and I, Gene, we laugh, we have a good time. We're pretty, Gene, I don't know you that well, so I assume you're a pretty normal guy.
That's debatable.
Well, anyway, so what his research shows is that, so someone like us, if we get really angry, our brain waves are identical to people who are schizophrenic. Oh. So what you're doing is you are putting yourself into a state where your brain waves are identical to someone who's got a serious mental disorder. So I can go into the scientific explanation about the increase in dopamine from that. But the most important thing here is you want to keep yourself from getting angry. And what you want to look at, the first thing to look at is, who are you spending time with? If you've got friends who are so angry and all they can see is they hate this person who's running, or they hate this about what's going on, that hate, it's poison. You want to surround yourself with people who are happy, who are going to make you laugh, and get rid of those toxic people who can't get the negativity out of their, out of them. You just, it's like turn off the news, turn off the negativity. I read my stuff. I don't listen to stuff on TV because all the screaming and everything. And it's just, so first thing you want to do is, write down those automatic negative thoughts. This is from Eamon. Then choose, write down solutions, choose a great choice, what's going to work the best. And then surround yourself with people who are happy and positive. Laugh.
I want to add to that real quick.
Okay.
You said some really good things, and I think that I don't want people to just, you kind of dropped a couple little breadcrumbs in there about it, but I think you're probably also talking about not just physically being around people, but socially being around people. And what I mean by that is online. So think about how many times you get angry. I'm not talking to you, Bernice. I know you don't ever get angry. How many times do you get angry when you're scrolling through your feed, and when you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and you see somebody that doesn't agree with your political stance or something else, and what's happening there? There's a release of chemicals in your brain that are working with your subconscious negative thoughts there. What you were talking about in the beginning, those ants, the automatic stuff, right? Keep drilling. It's funny that I can go down, I can go down my news feed, and I can hide the name of the person that's posting about something political. And based off of what they're saying and what side of the fence they're coming from, I could guess probably 90% of the time who it is saying it. Like, and by the way, that's designed, that ant technique is designed by the big box social media sites to keep you engaged. So you got to be real aware. And I think I would like for you to jump a little further into this, if you don't mind, Bernice. And that's, how does this stuff apply a little bit to the social space as well, or anything else online?
Well, first of all, the thing that if you've got someone right now and you're just seeing everything they see right now is totally, first of all, I'm not even reading my Facebook feed these days. I use Facebook for my Awesome Females in Real Estate group. I use it for messaging. I will read something that's from one of the people that I know. And the thing for me is, because I write for Eamon, I have to walk a line about, it's like what I do. If you want a real clear picture of both sides, there's several different places to go. If you're talking about the politics, one of them is Real Clear Politics. And what they do is they give you a a conservative article and a liberal democratic article. I read both so that I can be informed about what both sides are thinking. But that is part of my role of being aware of what's going on. And I'm writing about things. But I'm not writing about politics, but yet politics permeate everything. There's another piece to this as well. There's another place called the Donut, and I love the donut. It's simple in it, but they give you bite-sized chunks on the news, and then they'll say, here are the facts. Then they'll give you, something from the Washington Post, center left, something maybe from New York Post, center right or far right, whatever. But they tell you where these things are coming from. So if you want to be better informed, if you're open to it, fine. If you're not, that's okay too. But know that your bias is, we all are biased. We all have opinions. And there's something, there's a phrase that I think I really want to have you take a look at. It's called, and this is really true, what you resist persists. So if I say, I do not want to have Gene elected. I don't want Gene to be elected. Now, let me tell you how your brain processes this. This is very interesting. So there's an area in your brain called Broca's area 10. And the neural scientists call this mother, because mother controls what gets into conscious thought. It's Broca's area 10. And mother can only process one thought at a time. So what happens when I say, I do not want Gene to be elected, for dog catcher, what are you running for, Gene?
I'll do dog catcher, that's fine.
So when I say, I do not want Gene to get elected. Well, what my brain has to do first is say, I want Gene to get elected, and then like a computer program, and then you negate it. So your brain says, I want Gene elected, not. That's the way it's processed. So when you say, when you're trying to lose weight, and by the way, you want to eat healthy and have the ideal weight. You don't want to talk about it because you lose stuff. You want to go find it. But the idea here is your brain can only process one thing at a time. So when you are saying what you do not want, then what happens is you're telling your brain, I want this, not. So, and what we know from self-fulfilling prophecy, and this is psychology, I taught psychology for over 30 years, but the idea with self-fulfilling prophecy is that, what you expect to happen will happen. Mm-hmm. And this is really, really fascinating research. So, and I'm going to get a little woo-woo, a little quantum physics here. This is we're going down, we're going to go down some really interesting stuff now.
Nice.
Because this is where the metaphysical intersects with the quantum physics. So, we've got the quantum, so the idea here is back in the 1800s, there was a researcher named Young and a number of other quantum physicists who believed that light is composed of waves. Mm-hmm. Einstein comes along and says, no, that's not right. Light is also particles. It's not waves. Well, anyway, one of them designed this experiment, and they've got the world's largest nuclear accelerators is in CERN, Switzerland. And they've been able to devise an experiment now where they can tell what, is happening in terms of the subatomic level. But so they devised this experiment. Okay, is light composed of waves or particles? And what the research found, self-fulfilling prophecy, if the researcher expected it to be light, it was composed of waves, that's what they found. If they expected particles, that's what they found. Your thoughts impact things at the subatomic level.
So let me, and then the reason why I find this so interesting, obviously you and I have worked on this in some products that we built, and I'm literally seeing your slideshow go through my brain as we were talking.
My slides.
And I remember saw that, seeing this stuff, but like I've been, and I think this is very true. I have been, listening to a lot of stuff and, listening to people's opinions on a lot of different things, political, non-political. And I felt myself getting angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier, and just sort of perpetuating itself to the point where I found it the other day. I'm like, I've got to stop this. So I took a shift and I stopped the input that was coming into my life. And it dramatically, increased my happiness. And that took like within a minute, I was happier. And then I was able to get a very kind, incredible message from a young gal. Her name is Jenna. Jenna, boom, drop mic. And I know what you're doing right now, by the way, because you told me what you do when you listen to this podcast. So you're busted, girl.
That gets interesting.
Yeah, wait a minute. Do share.
I can't share live. She asked me not to share live.
Oh,
I've heard a lot of things that people do when they listen to this podcast, but this one I've never heard before. But your secret is safe. Your secret is safe with me. But
you really want to go there with what the news was last week?
Oh, dude. And so she sent me a very kind message today in a video format saying she listens to the show. She loves me. She thinks Matt and I are great. She didn't mention Gene. I don't know why she didn't mention Gene.
She did not mention me.
She got knocked down a peg of show follower.
Thanks for nothing, Jenna.
God. But when I got her message,
that was a negative thought. Does that really support you to say that, Gene?
No.
I'm sorry, Bernice. So I mean, you've got the beta endorphins from laughing. Now you're treating a little bit red. That's good.
Yeah. but here's the point of the story. I got this message, and she was so kind, and she just took the time out of her day to kind of mention how she enjoyed the show and I was educating and yada yada. It put me in such a good mood. I'm like, that was amazing. That was probably took her maybe a minute and a half to do the video. I immediately shared it to Matt and to Gene for them to see what was going on, and I have been in a fantastic mood all day. So, Bernice, what's the science behind shifting your mindset from negativity to positivity? How can we do that more often? How can we stay in that better mindset?
Well, first of all, again, remember you can only have one thought in your brain at a time.
True.
So one of the things that I love training, especially if I'm doing it live, I've got a group and I have them stand up, okay, raise their hands and look at the ceiling and wave their hands. Okay, so, come on, guys, look at the ceiling, wave your hands.
Come on, Gene.
Come on, look at the ceiling, up at the ceiling.
Wave your hands?
Yeah, like back like this.
Okay.
Okay, great. You have a smile. Look at. He landed with a smile. Gene, you're a little bit more straightforward, but I got it. So what happens is when I do this live, I've got a room full of a couple hundred people and almost, there maybe it'd be one or two, but almost everyone has a smile on their face. Now, why is that? Well, this comes from something called NeuroLinguistic Programming. And what it references is that we get feelings and, our responses get anchored in our physical body. And I'm going to give you some examples, but let's start with this one first. So when when you were a baby, unless you had mommy dearest for a mom, but when you reached up, your caretaker, your mother, your father, whoever it was, they would pick you up, feed you, change you, hold you, love you. And you have that anchored as disposition as a positive, happy feeling from birth, unless there's been some weird things in your background. But even if you think about, hey, my team scores.
Yeah.
Dances, how many dances have dance moves with your hands above your head? The point is that those positions are, so if you're getting ready to go on a listing appointment or something, you're having a bad day, we don't want to do that in the front door of the seller, but at least
you might end up in a padded room.
One kind of group, and they said when you could go in the restroom, it might look a little odd with your hands waving above the door of the restroom.
You know what, Bernice? There's actually something. So you obviously know Amy Cuddy, and before you and I had started working together and everything else, I listened to her TED Talk talking about body positions, right, and the power poses. And so they have a couple different power poses. One is the V, like we we're just talking about. One is Superman. You got to stand up like Superman. The other one's the boss, when you lean back and you put your feet on your desk and you hold these poses for, I think it's 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if you do it in public, they're going to arrest you for being insane. But I went, and this is right when I did this, Brittany, so I can speak to absolute truth how this works. I went to a listing appointment, my highest listing appointment I ever went on when I did it from cold calls, a $3 million home. I was intimidated. But then I said, you know what? To hell with this. This is my listing. And I sat out in front of the street behind my car. I did a Superman power pose. And I held it there for a couple of minutes. And I walked in and I'm like, this is my freaking listing, and I'm going to own it. And I took that listing that day, and it did change my energy. It was phenomenal.
Let me share this. I was doing a training when I was working at John Douglas. I ran the training for 4,000 agents, and we were doing, the company had a meeting that, and you get agents in the room. They were going to go out and take phone calls. That's just the way it is. Well, there were 2 entrances. There was the one up by the person who was doing the speaker. I go to the back of the room and I do the power pose. By the door, and people would turn around and look, and they'd sit back down. It worked. It was so. But hey, Veronica, thank you. So anyway, the other thing that you can do, and this works so well, and Greg, you and I have talked about this before, but one of the things we know is that you've got your left and right cerebral hemispheres. And when you get up in the morning and you're feeling out of sync and you're just kind of, well, what's happened is both cerebral hemispheres are not firing at the same rate. It's just it's like the waves are out of sync. But when you get them into synchrony where they're both moving together, that's when you get peak performance. Now, if I could figure out how to link a video I've got, I should, it's a YouTube video that shows peak performance. It's a macaw. It's very interesting. But anyway, excuse me, cockatoo. But the bottom line is here, if you want to get your brain synced, the easiest way to do it is listen to your favorite music that makes you want to snap your fingers, because that snapping the beat entrains the brain to match that beat. So when you find that and you find something you want to snap your fingers, move around and dance to, that's putting your brain into synchrony. So super simple tip. Get your brain in synchrony. You can do this if you need to, but just that music alone is enough to do it. It's tied to the beats. And what happens is, whether you've got Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever Apple Music, whatever you're using for your playlist, when it selects things for you to listen to, it's based upon the beat that you want. And you'll notice that it will serve up things that have the same beat. And that's what they're doing. They're training your brain and that gets you buying the song or whatever.
Really?
So yeah, listen, I actually want to I want to jump on that because there's a couple things that you made me think about. Yeah, do you know who Daniel Tosh is?
No.
Daniel Tosh is an older, he's kind of dirty. I wouldn't suggest you watch him, but he's like a comedian.
You're telling this to the women who taught human sexuality?
What? Say that again?
You're telling, I taught psychology for over 30 years. When I first got transferred to Pierce College, they told me that you're going to be teaching human sexuality. I looked at them and I said, talking for 15 years constitute adequate preparation. It turned out it did.
Okay. Well, then you might want to check him out and see what you got. But he does this skit where he talks about being on a jet ski. And he's like, have you ever seen anybody angry on a jet ski? You can't be mad on a jet ski. And so I think about that stuff all the time. And it's like, if you put yourself in a mode, and I'm tying this back to music, if you put yourself in a mode where you're smiling, it's very difficult to be not happy and not confident, right? So for me, there's 2 things I can always turn to that always work. Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, and our 10,000 Maniacs, the whole album, Our Time in Eden. You just can't be in a bad mood when you're listening to those things. And sometimes I'll have to just jump in the car and take it for a ride for 15 minutes to cleanse my head. The other thing I've noticed, and I'm going to drive this to a point here, I swear, is breathing techniques. I've been practicing this 4-second, 6-second, 8-second, 10-second breathing technique. And it kind of puts you in this state a little bit. I'm noticing. I'm just new at it, so I'm not great at it. But it puts you in some kind of state where, again, it's you can't be mad. You can't have negative thoughts. So my question to you then, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, Greg. If I am, please let me know. But
no,
my question to you, Bernice, would be: do you have like a checklist of things that I could do in the morning to get that? Because I feel like they tell you to do a good cardio workout early on, because when your endorphins are going and the chemicals are flying, it just sets you up for good success that day. So aside from like working out, you have some things you do in the morning, like Tony Robbins?
I never work out in the morning. Oh, no, not happening.
I can't either. I can't either. I'm with you.
I have to work out. I have to work out.
I'm a night owl. It's not happening. In terms of, so do you want, tips to start your day off right? There was an article I saw this morning where they talked about, take a power hour for yourself, which may be, reading affirmations. It may be meditating. It might be exercising, but identify 2 or 3 things that you can do the first hour of the day that support you. And, and that's what you're looking for, is what makes you feel good, what launches your day off right. So getting up and, looking at your phone first thing, what that does is that specifically it gets you focused on work when you really need that time. Now if you're someone like, for me, I've got about an hour of stuff I go through, shower in the morning, get dressed and do my meditations, I have different things I've got to really, I've got a routine, but you have to find what works for you. And then the other takeaway here is you need to pay attention to when your energy is best. So, getting me to do something at 6 or 7 in the morning, I know some of you wake up, you're at the morning morning larks, and you're ready to go. I think I slept until 9 this morning. I couldn't go to sleep last night. That worked for me. And, and then after that, my morning time after that point until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon is when I get the most done in terms of my writing. Then from 4 to 5, not happening. 6, 7, I get another burst until 7 to 10 or so. And so those are my kind of peak times. So what I know is that you need to look at what your personal kind of schedule is in terms of how your body responds. Do your hardest things at the times where you're at your best, because that's when you're going to have the best results. But circling back to this notion of stress, is you want to eliminate the things in your environment that that cause stress. So what are the things that you have that support you? So if your office is all covered with, you've got a whole lot of things out that aren't filed, and I have some things out right now. Wallet's not put away because I was booking some credit card, something or another. I see a couple things that aren't filed. That tells me it's like, when I'm not stressed, my desk area is totally clean and clear. And for some people, it's just a matter, again, what is in your environment to support you versus distract you? I love Leonardo's comment. I always listen to motivational speeches. I'd ask you guys, what are you doing that makes you feel positive? Because the real issue is what works for you and what makes you laugh. And I want to talk about why laughter is so important here in just a moment.
Sure. One question for you, and this is something that I love what you're saying, Bernice, because it's not one size fits all. Everyone's an individual human being, and it's completely perfect to, like, I have to get up and go running or do some sort of blood pumping exercise to, get out and run 4 miles, do a couple hundred push-ups, get nasty looks from people, running on the trail without wearing a mask. And, it's just all fun and games out there. But, I'm out there exercising and I'm staying true to myself, and I come back and then I get into the shower and my day's rolling, get some breakfast, and I sit down and start crushing. That's my routine, and that works well for me. It sounds like you and Gene, that's a hard stop. No, but that's okay. So I guess Veronica's got a great question. How do you get out of a rut? I mean, is that how you get out of a rut, or what?
Well, first of all, the question is it a rut or is it habit? And, in many cases, ruts are habits. And the way that you change habits is by One of the easiest ways to do it, say that you want to lose weight, or you want to drop weight, you want to find your ideal weight, is okay. If you're sitting at, you're sitting and having a bowl of ice cream, watching TV at night, and you're just kind of mindlessly doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to find is a different activity or a different substitute so you're going to engage in a different behavior. So one of the things you can do is just look for a different behavior that you can substitute. So instead of grabbing the ice cream, maybe I grab something else that's a lower cal snack. Or better yet, I've eaten. When I get hungry, gee, what do I really love doing that's not eating? Go do that activity. Or maybe it's calling somebody or talking to someone or doing a Zoom meeting with someone that is a friend, and just having a conversation where you're not sitting there shoveling the ice cream in your face. So it's like, one of the things you can do is you can substitute one behavior for another. Now back to the rut question, baby steps. So look at what you can change. So what is one thing that you can change? So if you're in a rut, you've got the same thing you're doing now. My rut, I am like, I have, if you looked at my life, you'd say I'm in a rut, because I do the same things. I eat at the same time every day, get up about the same time, have the same work schedule. It's just that structure is good for me because my brain works that way. For other people, they need something that's a little bit more freewheeling. Again, you need to find what works for you. But then you're looking at creating those habits. Do you brush your teeth before you go to bed? Do you floss? It's like, and you start with baby steps. That's the key thing. Don't try to change everything all at once. Just do one baby step.
So there was a guy named BJ Fogg. He's not dead. He did I got reached out to him many years to come on the show, but he talked about how he hated flossing his teeth. Okay. And so what he did is he would do one tooth a night. Just one tooth, just one tooth, right? But he changed it. Then he'd do two, and then he'd do three. Then he became like a psychopath, and he would like floss all the time. And your thought pattern on this is so spot on. I mean, I didn't want to get in my big pool and do swimming, but I wanted to lose a couple of vanity pounds, right? And so I said, well, gosh, I used to swim 100 laps. That's a lot of laps swimming. So I said, you know what, Greg, you're going to go down, you're going to do 20 laps, and then you're getting out of the pool. I don't care how you feel. So I went down there, I did 20 laps. I'm like, man, that was easy. Next day was 30, 40, and it progressed all the way back up to 100, 150 laps a time. And it's so incredibly true. But what if you're in a situation where you're stuck in a job that you hate but you have to make the money, right? Or a relationship in COVID that's gotten a little out of control, and you're like, oh God, this person's really driving me bananas. The job is probably more relevant to a lot of people. How would you make a shift career-wise without destroying your finances, right?
Well, one of the things, again, I would write down, first of all, I would want to begin by creating what my ideal job description looks like. Now, if you want, you're in the wrong relationship, what does my ideal partner look like? And I did this exercise with one of my past clients. This was like 20 years ago. And she was attracting the wrong kinds of guys. So anyway, she had all these characteristics of the guy she wants. It looks great. And sure enough, that guy showed up. But what she didn't have on her list is that he was not married. Well, this guy was available. He'd been separated from his wife for 5 years, but they weren't divorced.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's like, be definite with the infinite. So start with making your ideal, your ideal client list if you're a realtor, your ideal partner list if you're looking for a partner, or the ideal job. And then to attract, I'll use your partner as an example, to attract the ideal partner, go through that list and see how many of those things that you asked for apply to you. You attract who you are. If you want to attract somebody who's a good cook, you better learn how to cook. If you want someone who enjoys running and listening to heavy metal, then that's those are things, again, you're looking for what on your ideal list of what you want. How many of those things apply to you? And start working on that, because that's how we attract who we are.
Darren Hardy wrote down years ago that when he was single, he wrote down, he's like, okay, I want to write out my ideal woman. So he wrote 4 pages, single space of exactly what he wanted in a woman. But here's the thing, like you were just saying, Bernice, then he turned around and wrote 4 pages, single space of who he had to be to attract that woman. And guess what, guys? She stepped off the paper into his life. And I did the same thing with my current girlfriend. I wrote down exactly what I wanted. I mean, I went back and reviewed my goal list. It was fucking scary. Okay. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I hit all those bullet points. Anyway, Bernice, talk quickly. We're going to wrap here in about 5 minutes, but what's the difference from taking it from in your brain to on paper? What changes there, psychologically?
Again, you remember what I was talking about at the beginning about, so it's kind of, you create your own reality, this notion of self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. What you're doing is you are telling your brain, this is what I want. And then we don't know the magic here, but again, it works. So it's like your brain somehow will filter. And again, you get more like that, when you know what you want and you're clear about getting it and what you have to do to get it in terms of who you have to be as a person. If you want clients that are fun to work with, you better be fun to work with. You want clients who don't yell, just like, look, if you've got someone, if you've got people in your life that, you're not happy about attracting them, sometimes it's family, you can't help that, you're born into it. The question is, what did you do to attract them? Was someone different with you? Did you bend the rules with someone else? And then if that's not the case, then you didn't say no. That's your choice too. So you allowed them in. Get better at saying no and setting up the boundaries to protect you. Now, I want to wrap with something that's really important that we haven't got to. I want to reference the work of Paul Pearsall. He died a few years ago. He was the world's leading expert on heart transplant research. And what he found is that the heart actually has memories. When they transplanted it from one person to another, those memories went, that's a whole show in and of itself.
Holy.
But what he found is there was actual physical markers with people who will get heart disease in terms of how their mouths turn down and there's lines on the ears. But his research showed that there are 3 things that you needed to do to improve your health and fight off cancer. Number 1 was to laugh. In fact, 100 belly laughs are better than jogging 5 miles. His recommendation: sit on the curb and laugh. It's better than jogging. Way better for you. I'm with them. I'll sit on the curb and laugh. It works for me. The second one is to have dinner with the people you care about 5 nights a week. And then the third one is to help others. The act of helping someone else creates, it's like it gets you when you help someone else. That person may not be someone who helps you, but it comes to you somewhere else. So, and then I'm going to add the last one to kind of wrap with today is express gratitude. If you are in a negative place, one of the quickest ways to get out of it, because your brain can't have those 2 thoughts simultaneously, is to express gratitude. And say, okay, instead of what's going wrong, tell me what's going right. In case nothing's going right, Chief, the electricity is on, the AC is on, my car's got gas in it, I've got food on the table, I had a place to sleep last night, I don't have COVID. I mean, you can start looking at all these things that you have to be grateful for. And it changes your mood because your brain cannot concentrate on more than one thing at a time. When you're being grateful or smiling or expressing, when you're expressing gratitude, when you laugh, there's only room for that.
Wow. Okay, hold on. I got to do something. I'm so uncomfortable but grateful right now. I want to tell you something. Can I tell you something, Bernice?
Sure.
This is going to be the weirdest thing I may have ever said.
I doubt that.
No, this is strange. This is because of what we're talking about, how what you expect you get.
Yeah.
Literally yesterday, I'm not making a piece of this up. Literally yesterday, I was talking about books, and I went back to a book in my head that I remember reading when I worked for an insurance company back in the mid-90s. Okay? And I couldn't figure out this guy's last name. You just said it. Dr. Paul Pearsall was the pleasure principle. I haven't thought about this in 30 years.
Wow.
And I just Googled it. Like, you just gave me chills. Why did you bring up Dr. Paul Pearsall? That was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen.
I always talk about him. I heard him speak 3 times in person, and he talked about the healing power of aloha, one of the most powerful speeches I've ever heard anywhere. And I just love this man. I talk about him whenever I talk about mindset or stress. Paul Pearsall's research, someone I actually had a chance to see 3 times live, and in one of those, in 3 of those environments were less than 100 people in the room. It was just really phenomenal.
So I read that book. The reason why I thought about it is because I read that book as a 21-year-old, remembering how it altered the way that I thought about things, and that's what made me think about it the other day. And I'm right on board with you. I may have to go back and revisit that one, The Pleasure Principle by Dr. Paul Pearsall. How about that? That's so strange.
That's strange. Synchronicity. You attract who you are. You wanted an answer. Here I am, Jane.
I like it. I'm believing you.
You brought it up. You conjured it up. I didn't know what we're going to talk about today.
That's true. That is true.
I said no to the first topic. I think this one worked out really well.
I think so as well. You guys, now you get to see who I get to hang out with at least once a week for 2-hour stretches, and you wouldn't believe the amount I have learned from this woman, especially when it comes to saying negatives I don't want you, when your brain says that I want you, but then I don't. That was actually Bernice, from the stuff that you and I talk about off air. I was actually using that principle in another setting, and I'm like, gosh damn it, I'm doing this. I'm asking for it again. I got to change my verbiage.
Which is why they say multitasking is BS.
You can't. Your brain can only do. You're right, Gene. Yep. It's task shifting. It's not multitasking, and this is why texting and driving is so dangerous. Not only are you task shifting, you are also rule shifting. The rules for operating my car are different from the rules from texting.
Yep.
So, and what happens is, that part of my brain that's paying attention to, driving, it can't be. When you're texting, you've got the part of your brain that is, it's just not working. Your conscious brain is not paying attention to what's going on because it can't do it. So it makes you blind, and this is what causes accidents. So,
wow. Bernice, I want everyone to reach out to you. You have a product that you and I built. What is it called? Where can they get it? And there's a discount, I believe, involved.
Yes. I don't have the discount code, but Greg's got it. He'll send it to you. Go to our website at realestatecoach.com. Again, that's realestatecoach.com. And for those of you who are experienced agents, you want to check out the program that Greg and I did, List and Sell Real Estate Like Crazy. And this thing is gold. I did the first version of it in 2000. We have updated it. And then I got with Greg, we've got the brand new 2020 version that just came out, just in the last few weeks. You want to check it out because it's got the best of Greg and the best of me. And then for those of you who are new agents, check out our new agent sales training at realestatecoach.com. The California and Texas Association of Realtors have white labeled our products, as have a number of other big companies. So I really do want to encourage you. This stuff is my best stuff, and I can tell you my listing presentation stuff, which is in both these programs, converts at over a 93% level in the hands of someone who knows what to do. And Greg, you went through that with me. You know what it is.
I do. And it's very, very, very hard to stump me. And she stumped me at least 3 or 4 times. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, try this, do that, say that. I'm like, that's genius. Genius, woman. If you guys go there, go to realestatecoach.com, easiest website on earth to find. You can use the promo code McDaniel and knock $100 off this program. And if you guys don't like it, we'll give you your money back. Okay, we're not going to hog tie it to this thing, but it is dynamite.
And by the way, if you have problems with the sign up or with the code, email me at bernice@realestatecoach.com. I'll be happy to make sure that you've got that handled.
And guys, don't forget, sign up for Inman News. Bernice puts out legendary content. She and I do a video every week. It will be an amazing, amazing investment for a couple $100 for the year. Go get it. It's an amazing news. Gene, the Volpinator. How can they get a hold of you?
You can't. I'm on vacation this week. I'm working on mindset, and I'm working on asking for the right things and focusing and expecting on all the good stuff. You can't reach me this week. I'm unavailable.
Just go to genevolpe.com or GVI Media, guys. Go to GVI Media. He is so hard to get him to actually say stuff. So GVI Media is right there. Or this, or if you just want to see a stunned look on a human's face, that's Gene on a daily basis. Durr.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Todd. Love you too.
All right, guys. You guys know how to get a hold of me. I'm extremely easy to find. You could just go to greg@gregmcdaniel.com. You can email me. I'm going to have a new website that Mr. Jake Wolf is building for me. It's going to be gregmcdaniel.com. It's going to be my training site. It's going to be a lot of great content in there. Or just text me like Jenna did today. Shoot me a text. Let me know how we're affecting you in a positive way. My number is 925-915 1978. As we see right there on the phone, you guys can reach me there. But Gene, since you're subbing in for me today, I need you to do the honors in selecting the color of the bow for the show.
I could never sub for you, buddy. Let's do man alive. Let's do white out white.
White, just like Bernice's shirt. White. Okay.
By the way, just so you know, I was looking through my drawer.
Oh, white and black. Okay, guys, there's our show. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming in and watching. We cannot do this show without you. So wherever you guys are listening to your podcast, please go give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review. Comment Bernice Ross if you enjoyed this show. I always enjoy spending time with her. I know you guys got a lot of value out of it. And Gene and I and Matt, with our special secret gift, thank you, our friend Veronica, for hooking us up. We will see you guys on the next show. Till then, peace out, ninjas. Work out.